Why do we want to impress others? Why is there such a desire to make sure our Instagram picture is so perfect, that our Snapchat story looks amazing for the whole night? What is this whole thing where we have to only show our perfect side so that we can impress others? What is this that makes us appear flawless? That we have filters that takes away any type of flaw, and that we can demonstrate and reenact the situation and make sure that it's manufactured to the point to where everything's absolutely perfect in the frame, in the shot, in the video. Or we get to the point to where we're addicted, like drugs and alcohol, to always wanting to impress those that we're around. And it's all from this whole idea of wanting to be liked, wanting to be accepted. And it's fool's gold. And we all know, you've heard the story of fool's gold, where it looks like gold, but it's not. And people would, lose tons of money off of it. And it was called fool's gold for that reason. And you can read about it online, the history of fool's gold. But it's such an interesting analogy because it looked like gold. It looked like everything that you would ever want. There's riches. There's everything. And we see this online. You see people that are presenting themselves to be something that they're not. And they want more likes. They want more acceptance. And they hope through those things that will give them success. That will give them power. That will give them, even for themselves, some type of identity. But you know what is amazing? You know what we really find beautiful? Especially in deep relationships, and what creates a deep relationship is vulnerability. Those complex emotions that we have, when we trust somebody enough to be vulnerable with them, that leaves a mark on that other person. Forever. Forever. It's amazing how our vulnerability is so powerful. And our authentic imperfections, how they play so beautifully in the orchestra of life. How the music of vulnerability and complex emotions and authentic imperfections is like a huge symphony that just, right now, even like my arm hairs are just standing up because I'm thinking about the beauty of this. And I'm thinking about people throughout my life who were vulnerable with me or showed these amazing emotions. Or maybe it was this authentic imperfection that they had that made me love them more because they had that. The quirky personality, the part of their body that may not be perfect, but to you it's everything, and you just want to kiss that part of that body. It's so amazing, isn't it? And even us thinking about this right now and feeling this emotion of authentic imperfections and being authentic and being vulnerable, it makes us kind of feel like an eagle soaring. And I can bring you right back to the ground just by talking about Instagram. Just by talking about stories and Snapchat and everything's Rolls Royces and real estate and Gucci. It's yuck. Like, oh. And those things, I'm not saying any of those things are bad. That's amazing. If that's a life you live, that's a life you live. If you love fashion, so creative, so awesome. Do that. Be you. Go full into that. And be vulnerable with that. Because when you can embrace yourself, when you can embrace the identity of who you actually are, and when you begin to express that externally in an authentic voice, in a super authentic, unique voice, it begins to open up real relationships. Not ones based off of who people think you are, But the people that are attracted to you when you're being authentic and real are the people that you want to have a relationship with. The real success is those that want to do business with you because of who you are. The happiness, the real happiness that you have in your life is because you're surrounding yourself in work, play, in business with people that love you when you're authentic. That you feel safe to be vulnerable around. And you don't create that unless you understand your identity. Unless you do the work, the self-awareness work, to understand exactly who you are. And some of you are listening to this and you're like, I thought this was the leadership podcast. This is leadership. Look at our politicians. How authentic are they? How vulnerable are they? We need authentic, vulnerable leaders that are willing to tell the truth, not for them or for optics, but to serve others, to love others, to put others above themselves. This is leadership, guys. And this whole idea of you not feeling like you are enough to maintain a relationship, to maintain a position at work. I'm not enough. I have to fake it till I make it. I have to do this to be enough. I need to impress every single person. I've got to put out the special dishes, the china. I've got to make sure that I have the biggest house and the best car and go to the nicest restaurants. I have to go into debt and put all this pressure on me to constantly impress. And it's fake people impressing fake people doing fake things. That's not authentic. And those people are in self-imposed prisons. And you are too if you're following this. And you'll never have a good relationship because it's not vulnerable and authentic. You will never be free if you're constantly trying to impress anybody and everybody that you run into. The ultimate freedom is that you can be vulnerable with others, that you have this truthful honesty that comes out in such a loving way. How the world needs that more than anything. How successful would you be then? You want a relationship? Be authentic. Be real. Show them who you really are. Let them not reject some fake person that you've built and stressed yourself out to try to be perfect. Let them reject the real you. At least they can reject something that's not fake. We constantly evolve. We constantly change our identity. And that's awesome. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago. I was a big difference from 26 to 16, from 36 to 26, and from 46 to 36. Huge jumps in wisdom, huge jumps in understanding and figuring success out and people, huge failures. Tons of learning lessons, right? You're going to outgrow the person you used to be. So embrace who you are now. Who are you in the present moment? What do you look like? What are the things that excite you, the things that you love? Take the time to be, and I'm saying this in a good way, to be selfish and develop your identity. See who you are mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And be that. If you love fashion, go all in. I'm not saying getting into mass amounts of debt so you can buy vintage and used stuff. Go move. If you can, move to that area. Go to Milan, wherever. Try to get a job sweeping the floors at Louis Vuitton and going through the trash. Work for free at some house, designing house. Whatever it takes, go all in. Don't lose yourself in search for acceptance by others. I've seen this over and over again. People will create this new identity so that they can say, hey, I'm a millionaire, you should like me. Hey, I have a Lotus or a Ferrari, look at me. Hey, I'm a New York Times bestsellers. I deserve all the credit. Listen to me. That is having something to prove. You feel like you're not good enough, so you need something external to prove yourself. Now, all those things are great. If you're being your authentic, vulnerable self, guess what? You may have a New York Times bestseller in you, and you haven't even realized that. And if you love fast cars, awesome. Have as many as you can afford. But care less about who you are to others and more about who you are to yourself. Put yourself first. Develop yourself. And I guarantee you, when you began to act in confidence, in vulnerability, in honesty, in truthfulness, people are like, I want to be around this person. And those fake motherfuckers, they're repelled to that big time. And you don't want to impress or be around those people anyways. The only validation you can give is to yourself. So start filling yourself up in a good way. Start understanding and knowing who exactly you are. And stop trying to convince everyone else that I'm this or I'm that. It's insecurity, isn't it? That's what it is. It's being insecure. And it's stressful. It's horrible. There's nothing more horrific than being somebody that you're not and trying to be perfect and stressing yourself out over and over and over again to be this person that you're not. I see this with parents trying to raise children. They give up themselves. The children never get to see the authentic, vulnerable, truthful parent. Because the parent's trying to play a role and then get the kids to play this fake role so that they can be approved by society. Let's all free ourselves. Let's get into the deepest part of ourselves, our higher self, our soul. And reserve those things for a few close people that have earned your trust and who truly appreciate you. Those that value you are those that get you. You don't need to be around 1,000 people and just all the time constantly giving your emotion to all those people. Your heart, your soul, those things that you have, those are the things that cause life to be amazing. Susie Kassem, Kassem. And I got this article from, and I'm going to make sure I pronounce this right, RocheMambabola.com. And Susie Kassem, in her book, Rise Up and Salute the Sun, she wrote this poem, Coming Forth into the Light. She said, I was born the day I thought what is, what was, and what if. I was transformed the day my ego shattered. And all the superficial material, things that mattered to me before, suddenly ceased to matter. I really came into being the day I no longer cared about what the world thought of me, only on my thoughts for changing the world.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share. And go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.